Have you ever looked at your desk and said, "This place is boring. I should really spruce it up. But I really don't have too much money, so I need to do it on the cheap." Well, I've got the desk pen for you. So why would someone want to get a desk pen? I mean, first things first, it's not easy to take around. You've got a base, you've got a pen. The base stays where the base is, and the pen normally stays with the base. The good thing is, this desk pen does come separate from this base plate, and it comes with a cap. The cap happens to be inside the box for the base plate, and I'm just going to leave it in there. As far as packaging goes, this pen pretty much comes with no packaging whatsoever, except for a plastic sleeve, and the cartridge is actually taped to the body of the pen. It is a proprietary platinum cartridge, and the pen does take the proprietary platinum converters. So if you do want to use a custom ink with this pen down the line, you can, and that is a good touch for this pen. One other thing though, this is a little bit of a fingerprint magnet. See? There's a fingerprint. There's another fingerprint. There's another one. And as I continue to touch the pen, there's going to be fingerprints all over this thing. It is what it is. It does have a burgundy version as well, but I like the black pen. It goes very well with my desk and with the rest of my aesthetic, especially the clicky keyboard. As far as what you get for your money though, this is actually a pretty good package. The stand is $16 and is $6 more than the pen itself. The pen here, if I can get it out, is actually very well done. Obviously, you can see you're not going to need to post it, because, well, it's got that stiletto cigar holder look thing going on, which I think that's really the biggest reason I've avoided desk pens, is when I see stuff that looks like this, I feel like I need to smoke, and I don't like to smoke. But yeah, that's getting off topic here. Also, with this pen, even though it's a good price, one thing you'll notice is the pen holder doesn't stay still. Yeah, I can just move the thing around the desk like that. I can shake it, and it's not coming off. I'm gonna have to double stick tape this thing to keep it down. So once I'm done with this review, that's exactly what's gonna happen. There's gonna be 2 pieces of tape on here. That way, I can just go, haha, I have a pen. But it's not all bad side. This particular pen, just to see if there was a way around that, I did go ahead and leave it in here loose. So you'll see I barely put it in. I would recommend at the end of the day actually pushing it a little bit further. That way it doesn't dry out overnight. But at the beginning of the day, if you go ahead and just lift it out, and then gently set it back in, like I said, as long as there's not too much play there, you'll be fine. You'll be able to keep writing with this all day and not have any issues. So as far as that goes, if you don't want to put double stick tape on your desk, just do that at the beginning of the day, and this pen will keep writing throughout the day without drying out. Before we get into the writing sample though, let's go ahead and circle back around to that proprietary cartridge. It does come taped to the pen like I was saying, and all you have to do to get going is pop this sucker in, shake it a couple times, and you're good to go. Or just leave it capped and sitting for about 20 to 30 minutes. Both are good options. The pen, like I was saying, does also take their proprietary converter, so if you do want to use your favorite ink of choice on your desk, you can. The one thing I will say, this is an EF nib. So if you are wanting to see a lot of shading and sheen out of your inks on your desk, unless you're using Walden Pond, that's not going to be a thing. So just know that going into it, that's what you're going to be getting when you look at getting this particular pen. Overall though, it's not a bad pen, so let's go ahead and do a size comparison to the Aurora Auraloid, and then see how this pen looks on paper. Now, to get a good idea of the size comparison with the Auraloid, I did have to break out the cap for this pen. It would be a little bit dishonest of me to go, pen holder to non-pen holder pen to figure out the size and girth of the overall package. Now, what we're looking at here is an Auraloid that comes in at 127 millimeters and 22 grams when capped versus 186 millimeters and 13 grams capped for the Platinum Desk Pen. And uncapped, things aren't really getting any more reasonable when it comes to the overall length here. The Auraloid is 123.5 millimeters and 14 grams, and the Desk Pen is coming in at 170 millimeters and 9 grams. Circling back around to what I was saying, if you have larger hands, you're not going to have to use this thing posted. Although posting a stiletto desk pen would be a rather interesting feat, so if you want to try that, good for you. I just think you're wasting your time. Now, for the more important part here, the section on each pen, we are looking at 21.2 by 10.1 for the Oraloid, and 25 flat, essentially, and 10.4 when it comes to the desk pen itself. So overall, these are actually very similar in the section length from thread to flare, or in this case, snap cap point to flare. And if you are trying to figure out how much desk real estate you're going to need to set aside for the pen holder, you're looking at about 76.3 by 84.3 by 29.6 millimeters. Also, even though this thing does slide around the desk pretty easy, it is 105 grams, so it does at least have a little bit of weight to it. It just needs a little bit more than a little bit more weight. So now that we've got all the overview fluff out of the way, how does this pen actually feel on paper? Well, it is an EF nib, so you are going to get a little bit of feedback. It's not digging into the page, but it's not something that I'm going to want to bring over to Tomoe, just because EF nibs on Tomoe tends to be an unpleasant writing experience for me. On a normal paper though, like Rhodia, I'm not really having any issues. I'm not pulling any paper up along with the nib, and even for an EF, I do find it to be gliding across the page right out of the box. This is a $10 pen, so to get that kind of performance is actually really good and a nice selling point for the Platinum Desk Pen. I will say, don't try to write upside down with this thing. Don't try to get too aggressive with the angles. This is kind of a one-trick pony when it comes to the EF nib. Which, once again, budget pen, you kind of expect that. The ink that comes with the pen, though, is extremely well behaved. Like I was saying, I'm not getting any hard starting or skipping or anything like that. If you want me to take a more in-depth look at Platinum Black, just let me know, and we'll do that down the line. Overall, though, for a daily writer ink, if this was the only pen that I had at my desk at work, I'd be okay with it. I really would. It's going to behave really well on generic papers, and you're not really going to see any feathering or bleeding or anything like that, which in a work environment for a desk pen really makes sense. And probably the last thing I'm going to touch on here is that with the super lightweight, it's like writing with an extended Kaweco. It really does feel like I'm writing with a lightweight sport, but with something that I don't need to post in order to make it a normal writing experience, I guess would be the way to put it. And that's going to do it for our look at the Platinum Desk Pen. If you like this review or found it useful, hit that thumbs up, get subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one.